outside of the prison where Dustin Higgs is going to be executed. It's right behind us. This group behind me here is going to be creating a memorial. We're going to be creating a memorial across the street. At the street right in front of the property where pardon me, we're just getting ourselves situated here. I've come across the street, so we are raising our moral voice. And one of the things that a number of us feel is important to understand and recognize here is that what we are trying to do in an act of civic protest is to exercise the rights of this country, the rights of life and liberty, but also the constitutional rights that we have. And I want to contrast this with what the insurrectionists did last week in Washington, D.C., where they acted criminally and violently. This is a non-violent protest for life that we're calling for today. So we'll see that across the street, we have, there's maybe 30 of us that are here. There's candles in hand. They're going to come across the road where I am now. Going to make a memorial here, a memorial that is similar to what you would see when someone has been murdered, or on the side of a road when there's been an accident. I want to set a memorial for all the people who were killed. There's representation, there's a memorial for the murder victims, the men who are in this prison, and people who are going to be executed, have been executed and will be executed tonight in those murders. And we're also going to say that we don't think it's right to kill the men, or 2 nights ago, the woman who was involved in that murder. So what we're asking for is for a kind of justice that we believe is whole and complete and restorative. You can see that it's dark. Some lights are going to come over here in a moment. But this idea that we are doing all of this in this country under the banner of darkness is something worth noting. That it is nearly 11 o'clock, 11:20 p.m. This execution will take place in the darkness in the middle here of Indiana. And we are out here to metaphorically and literally raise lights on this issue that's happening here. So I've come back across the road. Here are many of the moral witnesses to life and to goodness. We've been out here for hours. Many of us came out at 4 o'clock today, 5 o'clock today, and it's 11:20. So these executions are often put off for long periods of time.
You live, bro?
Yeah, we're live. So we're asking you to hold vigil with this action. In the next few minutes, the witness vans are going to pull up. These are the vans with media in them that are here to witness this execution. And that's an indicator that the execution is underway. To indicate that the execution is underway. I need the battery out of that.
The engine just started on the van.
Does anyone be interested in leading us in a song? There you go. Let's push the side of the battery to make the battery go on. No, turn the light on. Right. The battery just goes into stone. Hey, pardon me, everybody. As you can tell, lots going on out here.
captives free. Love is flowing like a river, flowing out from you and me, flowing out into the desert, setting all the captives free. Run out of breath singing in the mass.
Taking Padgett back here again. So, as I mentioned, we're out here holding this vigil, and these are all just people like all the rest of you that have given their time and their energy and their life to say that we believe that there's something better, something more full of love that we can pursue as a people, and that violence and death and murder is... I thought he was going to say something, but you just let it is.
Just saying thank you all for watching. Keep watching. Please share the live feed. We are prayerful. We are loving. We are stopping executions tonight.
And so these kinds of movements, these kinds of justice movements and love movements, they're people movements, and they require people
I think that may be them.
to respond.
That's them.
We believe this might be the media vans.
No.
Let's go. So I'm back across the street now. I want to be here for you to see the witnesses come across the street to put this memorial here on the side of the highway in this rocky area. Pardon me. You'll be able to see this better when the lights make their way over here. The level of secrecy and confusion that's going on, I think is worth noting. You know, so often people who are proponents of the death penalty want to say something like it's a deterrent. Well, it's not a deterrent in the sense that this is done under darkness. No one knows it's happening. It'll be reported out later, and if you're watching this, you'll know that it's certainly not the top of news. If this execution goes through tonight, it'll be the 13th federal execution since July, beginning in July. There have been 17 years without executions at the federal level, and the Trump administration was anxious to start executions. Now, that'll be more executions than were done in all of the 20th century at the federal level, so it is unprecedented. And also, people don't know about it. I've been here in Terre Haute for 3 days and spoke to someone today who lives here, and he said, yeah, I think there's been 3 executions, kind of unusual. And I said, well, actually tonight will be the 13th. He didn't even know. There are many more murders than there are people on death row. So my point is that this is not meant as a deterrent. It's not even talked about. It's an evil that is reminiscent of lynchings and reminiscent of more barbaric days, and many of us believe that the way we respond to the violence of murder is not to bring about another death and to perpetuate more death and violence. So if you're watching this stream, you're likely been around people or can connect to death penalty action or to Vote Common Good or to other organizations that are doing work to try to raise awareness around the death penalty. But you know that we don't spend a lot of time talking about this. You'll notice that car honking like that. When people notice that we're here, it often elicits a response. Sometimes it's a honk like that, which we take to mean that people are affirmative and they're supportive and they're giving a yes. Other times people yell other things, and we have heard people yell things today that are just heartbreaking when they are supportive of these executions going forward. I say all that simply to say that there are competing narratives in this country. And with these competing narratives, we will all decide if we're going to raise our voices, if we're going to stand up for a cause. And if this is one that's meaningful for you, we would ask you to engage. There are still a number of states that are continuing to utilize the death penalty. Now, I will say that it is a much lower level than it has been for decades. Executions are on the decline. And we think that that's a good sign and that the death penalty will come to an end. So we're coming across here to set the...
Relax, folks. Relax.
Yeah, be careful.
Rocky terrain.
Okay, man.
We're creating a memorial to the victims, a memorial to all those killed. We remember the victims, but not with more killing.
So you can see that what's happening here is there are the names and the photos of those who have been executed and those who have been murdered.
Lee Kiesler,
These are
Pamela Butler, Alice, Tiffany Lee, Greg Nicholson, Lily Duncan, Kennedy Duncan, Amber Duncan,
to see the
Timothy
imagery. It's Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday today, so we have a banner calling for his legacy to be lived out in our day. And this one, as you can see, reads, "Capital punishment is against the better judgment of modern criminology." This is back from the early 1960s, and above all, against the highest expression of love in the nature of God. This is part of what brings us out. You can see there are now lights on from the prison as we've set this.
Curtis Stone, Tamika Black, Timothy Jackson.
These are the names of the people who were murdered by those who are held in custody, the victims of this murder, and we're saying we want the victimization to stop.
Victims, but not with more killing. Capital punishment is society's final assertion that it will not forgive.
This is Martin Luther King
Today
Jr.'s
is
other
Martin Luther
statement.
King Jr.'s birthday, and
Capital
here we
punishment is the
are
final
about
assertion
to execute
that we will
a
not
black
forgive.
man who never killed anyone on Martin Luther King's birthday. This is a legal lynching. We are about love, compassion, forgiveness for all of humanity. And we know that we can do better. We know that we
So
can
that's the
hold
federal
dangerous
prison right
offenders
back here. This is
accountable
where
without.
the executions have taken place, which is why we're on this
And
spot
we
right
do
now.
so all of the time. Martin Luther King said that capital punishment is against the better judgment of modern criminology, and above all, against the highest expression of love in the nature of God. Martin Luther King was a murder victim. Yesterday, in the Washington Post, Martin Luther King Jr., Martin Luther King III, said that he and his family are appalled at the idea of an execution of a black man who killed no one on Martin Luther King's birthday. And yet that's what is happening now.
So at this moment, we know that the execution stay has been lifted by the Supreme Court, which means that the execution is going to move forward. So in the next few minutes, the next hour or so, the execution will take place. And so we know that the legal system is designed to follow through with this. And yet in this very moment, we are going to stand out on this corner and to raise a moral voice of opposition to this action in response to these terrible, terrible murders that took place, that we do not want them to be added with another killing in response to those murders. So, this is happening now. It's part of the action that we know is important, is for the citizens of this country to rise up to its government, to raise its voice. And for us, that means in non-violent, peaceful action, with love as our criterion and non-violence as our tactics, to raise our voice and to bring an end to violence.
Service for others and for the world. Refrain from the violence of fist, tongue, or heart. Strive to be in good spiritual and bodily health. Follow the directions of the movement and of the captain on a demonstration. We remember the victims, but not with more killing. That's right. And including the victims of the state. That's right. In the last 6 months, our state, our government, this federal government has executed Daniel Lee, Wesley Perkey, Dustin Humpkin, Les Mitchell, Keith Nelson, William LaCroix, Christopher Villalba, Orlando Hall, Brandon Bernard, Alfred Bourgeois, and this week,
Abe is reading off the names earlier of the murder victims, and now also the names of the 13 who will be executed by this federal government since July. The continuation of a pattern of murder, we believe, needs to end. Theophilus, would you hold? Yeah, would you just hold this for me? I'm going to put my gloves on.
We believe in love. We believe in justice. We believe in freedom. We ask the state to stop, not the solution.
Drive that goes into where the executions will take place. This is our moral witness and, to be frank, makeshift memorial
What's that?
of average people.
Maybe you could just make it real obvious that you're looking for them too when they leave.
Don't put you in a bad spot, dude.
Still here, yep. That's right.
Turn me around. Turn me around. Nobody is turning me around.
Keep on talking, marching up to freedom. We're gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. Turn me around. We're gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking. Keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. With a commitment to nonviolence. We are keenly aware that our non-aggressive and nonviolent acts of civil disobedience sit in contrast to the riotous insurrection and acts of violence perpetrated in Washington, D.C. and on the Capitol building on January 6th. And threatened on capitals around the country in the coming weeks. Our peaceful actions are consistent with our moral calling and our First Amendment constitutional right to assembly and peaceful protest. We are calling for our government to fulfill its duty to life and liberty and to use our actions to inspire people to change the laws that allow for executions. We are not using violence to overthrow the elected leaders in our country. Today, on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and at the start of the weekend set aside for his honor, we act following his standard of nonviolence. In fact, we want to show how the violent acts of righteous insurrection and the use of death and execution as punishment are on one side, while our acts of freedom and moral conscience are on the other. We are committed to calling for the change in our laws that allow for execution, and we will use our freedoms and commitment to the upholding of the way of love as we do so. Violence is the problem, not the solution. We can honor the victims of violence without killing in their names. It is time to end the death penalty. We hope and pray that tonight's execution of Dustin Higgs, if it happens, is the last execution in the United States of America.
Thank you.
We declare this space a crime scene. We order its dismantling. We call for it to be shut down.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Abolition! Why do we want it? Now! What do we want? Abolition! When do we want it? Now! What do we want?
Abolition!
They're gonna move shortly, but they're not yet moving. 4 seconds go.
What's that?
They're gonna move shortly. They've been told they'll be moving shortly,
Okay.
but not yet.
Okay, again, folks, what's happening here is we're out at the entrance of the facility where the execution will take place, and what she's just announcing right now is that the media van with the witnesses that has to be present for the execution to take place, it's staged just up the road, is about to make its move, which means that the execution will start to take place at any moment after they arrive. So we are positioned to see them when they come in, to pass the message that you heard Abe read a moment ago, that we are out here in moral opposition and want this execution to stop. I want all executions to stop. So that's what's happening. I know if you've been on this for the whole time or watching through, it's been 20 minutes and longer, and so we're out trying to. We've been out here for hours and hours, and wanted to get this memorial set up and then have a chance to raise our awareness around this. The media witnesses, when they come in, the reason the media witnesses come in and do an execution is that it's part of the openness, as they say, of the execution, and we think it's not open. We think that most of you didn't even know that happened, didn't know that it was taking place, and that because this is done late at night and in the midst of darkness and after the news cycles have ended, that people don't hear about these things. So we want to raise our awareness, raise the awareness of the media to the fact that people like us are here, and we're trying to use peaceful protest to call for more peace. We're trying to use nonviolence to call for an end to violence. We're trying to call for a new path forward by creating a new path forward. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on out here. Can you look on the page?
Yes. You're live.
So there's about 40 of us out here, maybe 50 people that are raising our voice of conscience for this. And I also recognize that this is happening in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of the night, in the middle of winter, in the middle of the country. And there are many, many more people who want to be part of this work.
That's the name of the road over there, Justice.
Bring an end to the death penalty. So for those of us who are able to be out here, we feel the honor and the responsibility and the privilege that it is to be part of the voices of the millions and millions of people in this country and around the world who want to see this country change its laws and change its use of execution as a means of punishment.
Hopefully the last time we'll be in Terre Haute for an execution.
Yes. Shane, Abe, any reflections for the live stream? Shane Claiborne, Abe Bonowitz,
Well, sometimes you go too
Katie
quick.
Joe Claiborne.
Well, if you knew someone was going to be killed,
Light up by your face. But they can't look. Light up by your face. There you go.
if you knew someone was going to be killed, it was imminent, you knew the time, you knew the day, you do something, right? So we're here just to try to do something because we know 100 yards from here or whatever, someone is about to be killed. And I remember we had a quote on our wall that said, if they come to take someone's life and they don't have to cross over us, then we should question our religion. So here we are. They're going to cross over us and we're going to non-violently do all that we can to stand in the way of the state-sanctioned murder that's set to happen behind us tonight. Feels good to be here. Nobody wants to be here cold, snowing for an execution, but imagine not being here and someone getting killed and there not being outrage and broken hearts in the street. So here we are.
Doing what we can.
Doing what we can.
My friend's mom used to tell her, when you live in a time of injustice, you don't do nothing. You do something.
Do nothing. And thinking of Dr. King, I remember one of the elders of the civil rights movement said, people look back with nostalgia and they go, I wonder what I would have been doing back then. He said, what you're doing right now is what you would have been doing in 1960. So here we are.
And we do live in the time of some of the greatest social unrest and injustice. We're in the time of clarity. So if it's unclear that you should act, I invite you to act. And everyone has their own way to act, don't they, Shane? Everyone has their own thing to do. Everybody's got their own sidewalk to walk
right
on.
Here.
Yep.
Be right here.
And wherever people find themselves, those are the places where we can be. Some people, are standing in the light. Some people bring the light. Thanks for bringing over the light.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that we all have a role to play in this.
Yeah.
And, this, just to make some comments here, this whole complex here, from the edge of the lights there all the way across, if you were to look on a map, you'd see that this is the Federal Corrections Facility. Corrections is a powerful word. I'm not trying to correct anything here with this. This whole big, physical, overwhelming prison complex doesn't correct. We're out here suggesting a correction is necessary, that there's a correction to what's happening in here. So I would like to coin this group as the Corrections Institute.
Not the solution. Execution.
Puts in a crime scene.
This is the crime scene. Do it, Doug.
This
Bring it
is
on,
the
man.
scene
Oh,
of
the
a
crime.
crime, you know.
This is the scene. Of
We were at a demonstration at the trying to turn the camera around, pardon me. And it's hard to do when my fingers are freezing, so I have my gloves on. We were at the Department of Justice, and a few weeks ago, and we were trying to say that the Department of Justice, where they were signing these death warrants and plotting these executions, that was a crime against conscience and crime against love and crime against the human experience. And so we were trying to say to those people, we don't want you to sign these
I
death
can tell you
warrants.
that
and
the
we call it a
Associated
scene of a
Press
crime.
just asked Ashley if there are protesters in the road. So, and they're in the van, and so they've been told that. So we are the delay for the execution. All right,
Success already. More life, more life.
they're stuck in the vans.
You are the delay.
So what Abe was just saying there is that the Associated Press, who are part of the press team, press witnesses,
I mean, if they go by, go the
have asked if they're reached out to people here to say, over at the prison, are there protesters in the road, which is us.
There's another way they can bring the media.
And so they're trying to now make a plan for how they're going to come in, and maybe they'll come by us and hear our call to stop this execution, or maybe they'll find another way, I don't know. But Abe was just saying that means that we are doing what we can to put off this execution.
Well, he has his phone apparently, and he found out there was something was delaying them. So probably not. I don't know. All I know is that he asked Ashley what's up.
So here's the thing, we just see very regularly, here goes one of the Indiana State Police. There's always confusion around all this. You know, you'll see news reports of court cases, and you'll see that there's a stay, and then another court overturns it, and you might have even thought that this execution was not going to happen, that you heard that 2 days ago a district court judge called off this execution, and then another court put it back in, and then there was another. There's always confusion around these things. And so we're experiencing that out here. And I guess, they try to make these executions inside of a big facility like this seem as if it's inevitable and it has the power of our government, and therefore it's right. And we want to say that, our government makes mistakes and does things wrongly, and we correct. And that in a country where we, the people, are the government, this is what we want to say, is that there's a better way. And so we're trying to call for a better way. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have said that with the Biden administration, that they will oppose the death penalty and do away with it for federal executions and military executions, which is what this is a federal facility where they're killing not in the name of a state, they're killing in the name of the United States of America, which is all of us. And we long for that day in the first 100 days of the Biden-Harris administration to do away with the death penalty. And then states have to make their change. States have to abolish the death penalty. So this is going to take a people movement. And, you can even hear that we're naming the names. William Barr was the Attorney General signing these death warrants, and Donald Trump was the president, the administration pushing for these executions. And then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will not, and Merrick Garland will not sign, because people's names are on these. Their names are on the death warrants. Their names are on the death certificates. These are people making decisions and doing things. And so we're trying to raise the idea that this is not simply inevitable. This isn't some sort of law of nature that's happening here. This isn't just simply the way that it is not necessarily the way that it has to be. So we are those other voices. We are those other people that are out here saying we think there should be, could be, and someday will be another way.
Everybody who has a smartphone can keep watching Michael Tarm on Twitter, because I don't have enough battery to keep obsessively every second. Michael Tarm.
I don't have a cable for an iPhone, but it's battery.
Here you go. Here, there's a battery. Here's a battery. You can pull that out and plug it in.
Oh, sweet. It's got a little cord.
It's got a cord built into that side
Oh,
there.
that's so cool. Oh my God. Oh, I'm gonna.
You get out with you, and then you may have to push the side of the battery
gotcha.
to turn it
Okay.
on.
I see.
And I'll just note that even when you're a social activist trying to stop the death penalty, you still have to keep your phone charged. It's
Oh my
sort
God,
of there,
I'm
right,
all
isn't
about
it? It's like-
hashtag Apple activism. Like, I'm gonna create a campaign.
What's his last name again?
Tarm. So he's at mtarm. I can't tell if that's nice or not, but thanks.
So that's Ashley, somebody who's helped with all of the organizing of this action, and it's you know, it's just the regular things of life that make this stuff go on.
About to move.
Oh shit. Okay.
So it sounds like the vans are now on their way here.
The media's getting into the vans right now. Vans aren't moving yet as far as we know.
Cool.
They're in the vans now.
You know, every moment before an action takes place is another moment where you
Hey, you gotta make sure
can
they're
make a
here.
decision
Did you
about
guys hear
that,
they're in the vans?
but not engaging in that action. So there's still a chance that this execution will not go through.
Execution is not the solution. Execution is not the solution. Execution. Is this thing on?
Yeah,
Execution is not the solution.
that was a serious question for you,
Not
too.
the
Is
solution.
this
Not
thing
the
on?
solution. Execution is not the solution. We're
now at 38 minutes since we crossed this road. So the Supreme Court more than an hour and a half ago
Oh, humanity. Violence.
Yep.
pushed back the stay. And we're doing what we can to keep this execution from happening by raising moral witness in a nonviolent, peaceful citizen expression.
Wesley Perkey. Justin Hawkins.
Presente.
Well, if you're just tuning in now, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when we tape it off here, we can invite people to populate the road, I think, for at least a little bit.
Might be. No, it looks like one.
So if you're just tuning in now, we're 40 minutes, just about 40 minutes in. Just want to let you know what's going on. It's a group of citizen activists that are out here at the federal penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana, where death row inmates are kept and executed. And in the last 6 months, 12 have been executed, more than have been executed in all of the 20th and 21st century up until this point. It's been an execution spree spurred on by the Trump administration. And we're here this is the final one that is scheduled, and we believe it'll be the final execution before the Biden administration overturns and does away with the death penalty. So we're out here trying to raise our moral witness, as people were for the other 12 executions, this being the 13th, and we will continue to do it tonight. And we've been here yesterday for the Corey Johnson's execution and Lisa Montgomery's execution 2 days ago. And so we're doing what we can to raise our voices as human beings, citizens of the world. For many of us, personal and religious convictions also have us out here. So we don't know the full timing of this happenings tonight. We know that the media vans with the media witnesses are going to be pulling in here, and we want them to
I
see
think
this
that might be them,
action.
guys. I think that's them back there.
I want them to see this protest in action. Now you can see a couple of cars moving, headlights moving. I'll try to hold still so you can see. Somebody's suggesting that the vans may have taken the back route. and not going to come by our protests, that we may have delayed them long enough, and now they're going to go around another direction. But we don't know that to be true, so I'm just trying to catch you all up on what's happening out here. So
Yeah, we can see the vehicles running on Justice Road back there. It's called Justice Road. It's actually in Justice Road. And it looks like they have taken the back way instead of coming through the front gates like they have been all week.
So we don't know that yet, but that seems like that might be
like.
happening there.
Shane, I'd say tape it off.
We declare this place a crime scene. This is the scene of a crime. It is time
We're stretching
to
out
shut
some
it down.
tape that says,
This is the scene of a crime, my friend. This is the scene of a crime. Love and compassion for all humanity, that is the answer, not violence, not hate, not execution. Love and compassion and forgiveness and healing. We declare this space a crime scene. This is the scene of a crime. This is the scene of 13 crimes.
oh
This
boy.
is the scene of a crime. We declare this space a crime scene.
Oh no.
We declare this space a crime scene.
This is the scene of a crime. Crime is still happening.
Let it go. Drop it. This is the scene of a crime. This is the scene of a crime. We declare this space a crime scene.
Okay? We respect your right to protest, okay? But just please stay off the road. We don't want anybody to get ran over or nothing like that, please, okay? All right? Okay? Thank you very much, okay? Just please stay off the road, okay?
Thank you.
We can't. Yeah.
Thank you, officer.
So you can see the officers asked us to stay off the road. We
This is the scene of a crime. We declare this space a crime scene.
Can still be stopped yet tonight. Stop the killing.
Stop the killing.
so let's make
Start
a
the
look.
healing.
Officer, somebody is being killed. Please help stop the murder.
We did what we could to raise
Stop
awareness
the
to try
killing.
to stop
Start
this
the
action.
healing. Stop
And
the killing.
The
Start
state
the
police
healing.
and
Stop the killing.
police from the prison are asking us to not
Stop.
stand in the road. So
Stop the
we're
killing.
going to do what we can to stop this.
Stop
We know
the
that now
killing.
there's nobody else coming
Start
in
the
that we
healing.
can be a
Stop
part of
the killing.
stopping. So,
Start the healing.
anything else?
Stop the killing.
It feels
Start the
right and
healing.
it feels good to
Stop
be doing
the
something.
killing.
And
Stop
not everybody
the
can be here right
healing.
now, but we want
Stop
to
the
invite you to
killing.
do what you can.
Start
It's
the
going to take all
healing.
of us to end the death
Stop
penalty.
the
We can do it.
killing.
We can do this.
Stop
The end of the
the
death
healing.
penalty is in sight. We need courage right now, though. And Dr. King, it's his birthday. We can take courage from him and all those other saints through history that have shown us what it can look like to stand up for life and the dignity of every person.
This is the scene of a crime. We declare this space a crime scene. It's time to shut it down.
All right. So, just getting back here because we're going to keep making a statement to the president, but we need to keep quiet. So,
Abolition. When do we want it?
I'm going to cut this off. I think you've seen what we've been up to, what we've been doing. Now, the execution is going to go on. There's nothing more this group can do but raise our moral witness. It's up to the people inside that execution chamber. So, we'll maybe do an update if we learn something more later tonight. Love and peace and hope to all. Thank
Shut
you.
it down. Shut it down. No more execution.